All Things Indy said, Late Kick Faithful here. Thoughts on the state of Notre Dame football? You had the Gerard Parker internal hire. Matt Luke turns down the O-line job. It's not the only job Matt Luke's turned down. I just don't think he wants to get back in it right now. So that's not a shot at Notre Dame. Also, he said, future as an independent with all the conference realignment. What's going to happen? There's been some criticism as of late with the way that Notre Dame as a whole, as an entity, hired the Andy Ludwig offensive coordinator coaching search thing, and eventually it turns out that the athletic director, Jack Swarbrick, has to write you a letter. Yes, that happened. He famously quoted Terrence Mann, who is the character James Earl Jones plays in Field of Dreams, and he told you that he appreciates your passion. Misdirected though it may be, it is still a passion. That's what he tried to tell you. I laughed, you laughed, everyone laughed but Jack Swarbrick. He looked around and said, what's everyone laughing about? Ivory Tower syndrome. So, we still didn't really get to the bottom of it. We still really don't know what happened there. A lot of people think they know. So this is once again where we apply that skill that is so rare this day and age. Just say, I don't know. I don't know because Marcus Freeman has not spoken his mind on that. And if he's a good soldier, he probably realizes this is not a hill worth dying on. I had to elevate my tight ends coach in a search that we once upon a time called a national search, which is usually an indication that that wasn't plan A, B, C, or D. But be that as it may, he elevated who he elevated. There is a big debate that happens all the time in Notre Dame circles, and it sounds a little something like this. Notre Dame alumni think that Notre Dame is a university with a football program attached to it. Subway alumni, as they would call them, I just saw this over on Irish Illustrated the other day. That's our 24/7 Notre Dame board. Subway alumni, in other words, those who didn't go to Notre Dame, but they root for Notre Dame, they would call Notre Dame a football program with a university attached to it. And then they clash. And then some alumni would say, that is a bastardization at best of how we feel. And the Subway alumni would say, do you realize how much money you make off of us? Everyone's right. And so therefore, I'm not hating on you. I'm just saying, when you tell me, which some of you do, that you're not interested in being Alabama, I listen to you. And I don't have a problem with it. You run your program and university the way you want to run it. I just come back when you get mad that there are budgetary limitations. Marcus Freeman gets told no on something Nick Saban doesn't get told no on because there's no one there to tell Nick Saban no. And you get mad about it. I always look and I say, weren't you the same person who told me you don't want to be Alabama? See, the argument would go something like this. For the crowd that thinks Notre Dame is a university with an athletic appendage attached to it, they would say, we're not going to do it like the big boys do down south. That way, yeah, it'll be frustrating and aggravating and the wins will be fewer and further between. But if we ever get one, it'll make it all the more sweeter because we did it the right way, the Notre Dame way. I don't say this mockingly. I'm going to tell you for the third time. Thrice, I've told you. You do things the way you want to do things. I have full respect for it. But when we get into these kinds of conversations, that's what I remember. So should I expect Notre Dame to be as aggressive as an LSU would have been there or as an Oklahoma would have been? I don't expect that. Until further notice, I don't expect that. And as Bruce Hornsby would say, that's just the way it is. I still think they can win. I just think they have to thread the needle a little bit more. I remember when we had Brian Kelly on the show last year or 2 years ago. He was the head coach at Notre Dame at the time, so it was 2 years ago. He said, candidly, I know going into a recruiting cycle, there are kids I don't even waste my time on, that the Georgias and Floridas of the world are fighting tooth and nail against for. That's a different set of circumstances. We've always known that, but it stands to be reiterated in arguments like this. So Notre Dame, look, I think that they finished the season really strong last year. I think the world of Marcus Freeman as a person. I don't think that I'm the best qualified to gauge whether he'll be successful as a coach, only because I think there's a lot outside of his control that will factor into that. That's really what it boils down to. There are just more external factors out of Marcus Freeman's control that are going to determine his fate than maybe someone at one of those programs down south. So if that's palatable for you, go Irish. Guys, thanks for watching Late Kick. Make sure and leave a comment. I love interacting with you. But most of all, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's how we keep all of this free.